All right, folks. It's Tanya here, and this is Stream Like a Boss TV, and I'm super excited and thrilled that I get a chance to be here with you on a Thursday evening, as we usually do our show on Thursdays. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Look, I am using a different studio and a different structure this evening than I normally do. One of the reasons is that I wanted to host for you a walkthrough video, and I felt it just might be a little bit easier to do this, especially in case I need to share some quick links with you if you've got questions. But I wanted to share this on Restream. So that is the platform I'm using tonight. I am broadcasting live to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, all the places. So let me make sure that I say hello and what's up. For those of you who have been here before, you are family. You know what to do. You type in hashtag OG and let me know that you're here. If you're brand new and you've never seen one of our shows, we're here usually on Thursdays, and what we do is we talk about how to leverage live streaming for lead magnet generation, right? But also to stand out online, to serve more people, and to sell more of your services. So type in hashtag newbie if you're here and you're brand new, and let me know where you're from. But I see some folks that are saying hello already. I see a beginner in the house. Dave's Fit Life. Awesome. So, look, whatever questions you have, I'm here for you. Okay. This is going to be a little bit of a deviation from our normal show, but it doesn't matter. I'm still here with you live and I can see your comments. And Daniel Chi in the house. What's up? Look, I need to have all my sounds and stuff ready, but I'm not doing that tonight because I'll tell you the focus of this evening is I see some OGs. There you go. OGs in the house. What's up? Lou Bortone. I love it. Debbie, look, I am here tonight to do a demo, or I want to say demo, kind of a demo. I'm going to do an update of the walkthrough that I did apparently a year ago of my studio. I'm often asked about how I created it, like what did I put together, what's in it, right? Because a lot of times, check this out, what people will do is they'll be like, yeah, I've got this beautiful studio, but really all they have is a little corner space, which is what I had. And so, what I'm going to talk with you about tonight are a couple of things. One, I am going to show you a little bit of the evolution because everybody starts somewhere. If that's you, if you're a beginner, just like Dave's Fit Life, then I definitely want you to put your hands up. Like, give me a hand emoji and let me know that you're brand new, but you're willing to learn. If you're willing to learn, put a hand up too. How about that? Willing to learn no matter where you are, because I feel like we can constantly learn from each other. And so, what I'm going to share with you from an evolutionary standpoint is where I started. And then I'm going to lead into where I am today. And I actually have about a 14-minute or so video that I will show you, but I'm also going to be off in the corner as we're watching it together. And I'm gonna give you some disclaimers before I put it out there, but we'll watch it together and I will answer questions as we go through some of the different things that I'm pointing out. So I recorded this little video earlier today of my studio so that you could really see a walkthrough. I didn't want to have to do that while we're actually here live because it would have been a little clunky here. but a couple of things about me may or may not know. I'm super simple. I'm very practical. And I'm looking for ways to do budget friendly things. So when I share my studio with you, some of the stuff will be, some of the gear will be a little bit pricey, but much of it will be things that I've found that have worked within a specific and strict budget. So we can talk about that. I want to also share with you some mistakes that I made along the way. To help you to also avoid those mistakes, if you will. So if you do have questions, feel free to pop those into the chat. I am using Restream this evening, so it'll look a little different than my normal shows do, but that's okay. Part of it, again, is because I know it's connected to my Amazon store, so that kind of makes things easy if there's something that you want to know about. All right, let me see. I got Dave's Fit Life. What are you saying? Let's see. Dave says, I'm sitting at a new desk in the corner of my living room. This is a Big Lots desk. Hello. We got it 40% off. My wife bought it for me. We put it together and it's very sturdy. Look, and that's important. you're going to be looking for, each of you will have different requirements according to what you're going to be doing with video. It's just a fact. So we all don't need to go out and get the latest and greatest gear. We don't all need a super fancy $2,000 DSLR camera. We don't all need all the things. But there are some things that I think are critical and essential, and I want to walk you through some of those things. Okay? All right. What's up? Look at my Anna in the chat. Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. And so Dave is also pragmatic, and he says this is a great desk. It's sturdy and it's budget friendly. I'm with you on that, Dave. Love that too. Okay, folks. So here's what I will do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the evolution. So I think what I'll do is I'll start first with where I came from, and then we'll lead into the video and I'll walk you through the actual setup. Because where I started was a very messy, just ridiculous looking desk space. And then it was a walk-in closet. Yes. And then I just kept finding spots around the house that I could use. Okay. And I think I might have some pictures of when I was designing. So let me see if I can pull those up real quick. I just thought about pulling those up, but I'm going to show you. Let's see, photo studio. Let's see, got those. Studio transformation. Yeah, we'll see if we can pull some of those transformational photos up for you too, because you'll get a kick out of those, I think. Okay, I think I have yes, I do. I have a video that is showing some of the things, but I think I might need to find a couple more photos. We can do that during the video. Okay. You watched the overlays video. So Anna, I'm going to be checking that out too because I need help. I want to also go watch those thumbnail videos that Ecamm Live has been sharing. So I'm definitely going to be catching up on those things. Now, again, we're going to walk through first evolution. And so I'm going to be sharing my screen in just a second, and then I will walk you through the actual design of the studio. And because it was during the day, we'll have better lighting, so you'll be able to see a lot. But I will answer any questions if you have them, and I will answer them honestly and thoroughly. And if there's something I don't know an answer to, I'm more than happy to direct you to any one of these experts that's here in the house, because we got some experts. I'm almost a little intimidated. We got some experts that are here in the house that definitely know gear to no end. So if I don't know the answer, I definitely will punt it, or I can come back and share that answer with you. Now, the final thing I will share with you is this. I'm doing something a little different tonight. I'm doing a lot of different things tonight. But one of the things that's very different is recently I started going live on Substack, and I started sharing my post on Substack as video, audio, and other formats. And so after tonight's show, after the stream, I will head over to Substack. And if you would like to get on camera with me, I'm going to try to break their live stream. So feel free to come and join me over there. And let me see what I need to do. I'll pop up the Substack link. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because you do need to have a Substack account to join me over there. So I'm going to pop that up for you. There's a QR code, but I can also pop up the link for us here shortly. Okay. But this is after we're done. Okay. Are y'all ready? Because I think this is going to be a little fun. I can't wait. All right, here we go. So I am going to share with you a couple of scenes from different spaces that I played when I was actually learning how to create a video studio. As a matter of fact, the real thought is I didn't know that I needed one. The only reason why, and yes, I'm definitely breaking things. As Hannah said, I'm definitely going to break some things. What's up? David Hunt in the house. Cast ahead, Chris Stone. Yes. I didn't know that I even needed a studio. I just knew that I was committed to trying to do something different. I was committed to using video even though I am an introvert through and through. Um, so video was not my first love. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I can't wait to get on camera. No, that was the last thing that I wanted to do, to be honest with you. And I made a decision because I noticed this like nosedive that my organic reach was taking. And a lot of you may be experiencing this right now. You've probably heard a lot of conversation and talk about algorithms, right? And changes on Meta as well as other platforms. And one of the things that we have to be able to do, especially if you're an entrepreneur, is we need to be able to pivot. We need to be flexible. We need to be versatile. We need to move when we need to move. And the advantage of us being oftentimes small business owners and entrepreneurs, especially service providers, is that we can move, we can be nimble. And so I made a decision that I was going to try. I was going to put my toe in the water and try video because, hey, all the platforms were saying, do video, do video. We want you to do video. And I thought, as much as I hate this, I'm going to try it and see how it works. But I couldn't just see by doing it once or twice. I knew that I needed to do more than that because I know myself. And I said to myself, self, you know, if you do this once or twice, the second time you're going to be like, yeah, that didn't work. I'm done. So I literally committed to doing this at least once a week for an entire year. I committed to doing live streaming specifically because I didn't want to have to mess with production. I just wanted full transparency. I wanted to click go live and then I wanted to click end and be done. And so live streaming gave me that as an option. But there were other videos I created too, which I'm going to show you a little bit. Now, I won't show or I won't play sound, but I will show you for purposes of really kind of understanding what this backdrop is. I'll show you some of the backgrounds that I had in prior videos, and you can kind of get a feel for the quality. It definitely wasn't great. As a matter of fact, I'm not even using like best hot camera right now. I'm not using that. But even what I'm using in this moment is way better than what I had back then. And I'm looking at videos from back in like 2016, 2017. So let me just show you some of these so that you can kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about here. Let me pop up there we go. Okay, so here is my channel today. It's Stream Like a Boss TV. And so I am broadcasting on YouTube, as you know, but also LinkedIn and Facebook. And so my channel on YouTube is at Tanya Smith, and this is Stream Like a Boss with Tanya Smith. And so it looks all pretty and bright today, right? Okay, we got a lot of really like nice quality thumbnails and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to show you this. This was one of my very first videos. And there's something that I want you to notice as I kind of scroll through without even showing. I'm not going to put the sound on, but you can kind of get a feel for what I'm about to say. And that is, I was doing everything initially that I could to stay off camera. I was like, no, just you can hear the sound of my voice. But other than that, you're not going to see me. And so I would put slides up. And at the time I was using PowerPoint slides. And so this was okay. That's me with braces on, y'all. I was looking a little young. That's my family. But I was using slides because I did not want to be on camera. So when I tell you that was where I started, this is literally where I started. And so back here, I actually had a business called Snack Size Marketing. I was interviewed on various podcasts, including one with John Lee Dumas, the one called Entrepreneur on Fire, which is super on fire today, right? So I was making some strides, but I was doing it with audio. And at the time, I had a pretty large presence on Twitter, which I'm not on anymore. But at that time, I was really building through audio, and that was my happy place. It was okay. But then, as I mentioned, I started noticing that there was a need for me to make a shift. And so I made a decision to try to use video. I'm going to come back to that one because I want to show you some things. But notice how here I'm actually in this same room, but you can't really tell just by the looks. That's a really bad screen share. Um, but you can kind of tell the quality of the video is not great. The backdrop really was just that this was our family room. We had sofas and, this little keyboard in the background and that kind of stuff. There was no congruency. There was no real branding to it. I was just like, hey, I'm going live, so I'm just going to keep it clean and neat. But one of the things that I found was happening, and this is a note for those of you who are beginners, is that because I had so many things, not that it was super cluttered, but I had all these things that were not aligned or congruent, that what would happen is people in the audience would be like, hey, oh, so do you play music? So what is that picture of back there? That looks like the picture that was on the Oprah show. Like people were asking questions about the background. So if I had to give you a little tip here, one of my tips would be that you need to think about how to declutter your space. So you want to be putting yourself in a situation where even if you're starting new and fresh, that it's just clean. A clean wall probably would have been better than all this stuff I had in my background. And again, it's not even that it wasn't neat, but it was a lot of different little things, knickknacks, and none of it was really well branded. So it didn't give off the professionalism that I really wanted to give. And so I kept thinking of ways, how can I improve? So let me show you another one that I did. Let me see. I got to be careful. I'm switching between the right scenes here because I'm not used to Restream. Here's another one. Okay, so in this instance, this was a walk-in closet. Okay, a little bit better, right? It was well branded. I am a collector of all kinds of things. And let me pop up this note that Dave put up here because yeah, I agree that less can absolutely be more, right? So thinking about being a little bit more minimalistic could help you if you feel like you've got a lot of things that really aren't tied together and that potentially could distract from your message. That's the point. But in this instance, this was a walk-in closet. You can't tell, right? But I'm going to tell y'all, I was so cramped in this place. If I showed you the closet right now and how tiny it is, you would be amazed. So I had a chair in here and I had one of those little TV tables, those TV stands, where you're eating. I don't know if you do this, right? Because this is old school. This is how old school I am. But do y'all remember the little TV dinners that, when you were growing up, maybe you had? And so they'd have those foldable tables. Your parents had those foldable tables. And so you could just bring it into the living room and that's where you could put your little TV tray and you could eat. So I had one of those type of foldable tables. That's what my laptop was sitting on. And I just kind of winged it. Like I was a collector. I am a collector of a lot of Wonder Woman things. So you can still see some of the elements even in my set right now. But at the time I was like, hey, let me just add some stuff in here and put it behind me on these shelves. I'm going to clean these shelves out and I'm going to sit in this little tiny room. And in this room, when I tell y'all, it got so hot because there were no windows. It's a closet. It got so hot that I had to have this little mini fan for a different reason than I do today. But I had this little mini fan that was kind of going behind the video just so I would stop from sweating. But I literally used this for a while and I just was finding spaces throughout my home to try to figure out where it was going to be comfortable, what was a space that I could dedicate, where I wasn't taking over, family space or family, things that they wanted to do. I didn't want to be in the same space. I wanted to isolate a little bit so I could have quiet. So this was one of the spaces that I actually used. Now, I'm also going to share a little bit of a story with you. So here's the second lesson that I will share. I shared with you the whole minimalism thing, but the lesson that I would share here is that you get a chance to choose and to experiment. So if you don't know where you want to actually set up your video space, you need to think about a couple of questions. One is what's my frequency going to be? Like, am I doing this every day? Do I want to be inside a home or office? Do I prefer to be outside? What are my goals? Like, what's the purpose? What kind of representation do I want to show up as? Like, how do I want people to see me and to see my brand? Now, as a marketing coach who actually was a career coach and then moved into all these social media coach, I've done all kinds of coaching, y'all. But in all those different spaces and arenas, my purpose would change. But ultimately, I recognized that the main thing was I wanted to be seen as a professional. So when you think about that end game, if that's your outcome, how can you show up in a way that gives people the impression of who you are in a way that you want to be seen? How can you control the narrative a little bit as it relates to the environment that you're creating? How do you make people feel when they see and experience your video? That's a question, right? And so you get a chance, just like I did, to experiment. Now, I've got tons of other videos in other places in my home, but I won't take you through all of that. I'll just say it was probably every corner of the house except for the bedroom or the bathroom, right? Like every corner. Here's something else that I want you to know. Here's a video. I'm going to give you just a little bit of a short story about something that happened. So notice my hair. For some of you, you have heard my story about hair. And I'm going to tell you this because I want you, especially if you're new, I want you to understand why this is important to me and why it may be important to you too. I was going through at the time, and let me just switch this up. I was going through at the time that I did this video a very tragic moment. My husband had been diagnosed with colon cancer, and he was going through chemotherapy. And there were a whole lot of other life things that were happening, but the biggest thing was him fighting cancer. And so in the process of dealing with that as a family, with our two daughters, having to get them counseling, there were just so many different things, right? My hair was falling out, but here I am saying I'm going to be on video. And so I ended up going and I had a stylist. You know, I went and I researched and I found a person that I thought could just help me. And I'm still with her today, by the way. It's been years. But I found a stylist and asked her to cut my hair completely off. Can you just cut it off? Just cut it short and let me start over from scratch, because my skin was breaking out. Everything that was happening to my husband with chemo. And if you know anyone, if you have a loved one who has faced cancer and has had to go through radiation treatment or chemotherapy, you know what I'm talking about, where there are so many different symptoms and everybody experiences these differently. But many of the symptoms he was experiencing, I was experiencing too. I can't say to the level that he was because it was horrendous, but skin breaking out, sensitivity on hands and feet, any type of extremities, hair falling out was a big one for me. All of those things were happening due to the stress. It was just so much. And so I was doing these videos and I was on camera. It was probably around this exact time that you see on this video right here. Notice I'm actually in my kitchen at the time. So plain wall with just a hint of a fake plant, right? And my little cartoon self that I had created that I used often instead of my face. But a woman popped up in my comments, in my chat, and she said this: if I were to look up the definition of unprofessional, your face would be next to it. What? Guess she didn't like my hair. She was judgmental. She was probably dealing with her own issue. And I didn't recognize how much that affected me because, again, remember I said that my goal was I wanted to be seen as a professional. So she dug deep with that one. Like that hurt way more than it probably should have, but it did. It hurt. And I remember after that I ended up, I thought I hadn't internalized it. Yeah, it was rude, Lou. I hadn't internalized it, but there's a thing, and you may not really get this as much unless you are, especially African American women. Hair is our crowning glory. There's a thing about hair. There's all kinds of documentaries about it, and I'm not going to go deep in that, but I'm going to say That was one of the things that really took me aback. And so, in the process of finding myself and figuring out where I wanted to do my lives and having my studio set up and just be, I ended up wearing wigs. So, notice this video right here. And this is one of a series of videos. This was a period of time in 2016 where I was just wearing wigs because I didn't want anybody to see my real self. And so the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand something. It's not just about the outward appearance of your studio. It's also about what you're feeling inward that will show up on camera. Both of those work in tandem. And so as you're thinking about putting yourself on camera, whether it be for live streaming or being, produced videos where you're doing them, recording them in advance, no matter what, I want you to think about, you got to know yourself. You need to love yourself. And I want you to find ways to feel good about yourself, inward and outward. And I will tell you, the studios that I've created, each of the designs that you'll see in my backgrounds are a reflection of how I was starting to mature as a streamer, as a video person, as a marketer. They were signs of how I was starting to mature inwardly. So I want you to think about that. And so when you're creating and designing your studio, you have an opportunity to create something that feels wonderful and beautiful to you. It doesn't really, some of the things that other people say, they might get to you, but I want you to really know that what's more important is that you are serving people through your words and through the message that you're sharing and how you're showing up, regardless. I kept showing up, yes. Did I show up not as myself? I did for a period of time, but I learned from that period of time and I grew from that. And you can see that evolution in my channel. So let's talk a little bit about where things are now. And I don't know if this is inspiring anybody, but I hope that you're really hearing me when I say it's not just about the gear. It's not just about the outward appearance of things, although that can definitely be a reflection of you inward. It's also about how are you making yourself feel inside. When you do this thing called video, are you doing it because it pleases you and because you find joy in it? Because if you don't have to do it. You don't need to do it. And how you feel about what you're talking about will shine through in your videos. I mean, I don't know who that message was meant for, but hopefully it's helping somebody. Okay, let's talk about now, where we are. So I ended up switching over to my family room. And my family room, I did a demolition of the entire space. And I can go into a whole lot of detail about it, but I won't do that to you. I will just say I had an entire space, and let me see if I'm going to find some of these pictures. I know I have them. I ended up demolishing the whole space for the better. Now, and it was a family room, but my kids, as they were getting older, they weren't using it anymore. My husband wasn't up here. He was usually in his man cave downstairs. And so this room was full of boxes with toys and tables and a big giant entertainment center that nobody ever used anymore because people don't use bulky furniture like that. We even had the big TV that has the big butt on the back. And I ended up one day saying, you know what, I'm ready to get rid of this because my husband kept telling me he was going to get rid of it and he never did. So I ended up calling a junk removal guy. I used thumbtack.com and I found somebody. And within a couple of hours, for $150, they came in here and threw all this stuff out for me. So they carried all these big, bulky pieces of furniture and they just trashed them because that's all I wanted to do with them. There was no reason for us to keep them anymore. And I redesigned the entire space in my own vision. So now is a good time for me to show you the vision. I was trying to see if I could find you some of these. Let me see if I can find a couple of pictures from the living room because it's hilarious. If you just see the demolition, it's the before and the after is pretty funny. If I can't find them quickly, then I will go ahead and move on into, oh yeah, I found some. Okay, let me show you. These are hilarious. Okay, so here, let me blow it up. Okay, so here's a couple of pictures. Check this out. Who has this kind of stuff anymore? So this was one of the things that was in the space. This old chair that nobody sat in, and this is what everything looked like before. Now, I did one of my the first part of my vision was that I loved the brick wall theme, and the reason why I love the brick wall theme is because I was using a lot of green screens for a little bit. And so you'll notice partially right there, there's a brick wall, but it's not a real brick wall. Of course, it's peel and stick wallpaper. But the reason why I knew I liked it is because I had done these green screens. And so this is a tip for you if you're new and you're thinking through how you want to do this. I did use these green screen backgrounds until I found a look that I thought was going to be warm. I wrote down words, right, that represented how do I want people to feel? I want it to be warm. I want it to be inviting. I want bold, vibrant colors. I wanted to show my growth. So I wanted some plants, even if they were fake plants. I wanted these things around the space to really give me this feeling that when I walked up here in the space, that I felt good, I felt calm, I felt confident. And I felt like, hey, I got something to say, and I'm going to do it in this space that is lifting me up. And so removing all this junk and this clutter was a big deal. And creating a space or designing it to look the way that I wanted to was a big, it was like a revolutionary moment for me. Like it was big. Okay, so let me show you a couple of other really quick things here, because this is the beginning of the after. This is kind of a panoramic, but I'm going to show you now our short video, if y'all are ready. Okay, let's do the video, because I'm going to show you where we are in this moment right now today, which is in a totally different look than what I did. And I shared a little bit of this last year. So now this year, right now, today, I'm going to give you some updates. So let's watch the video. It's about 14 minutes, but we'll scroll through some things. As I'm showing it, if you have questions at all, I want you to ask the questions. I'm sitting right here. I'll be at the bottom of the screen watching with you. And we're just going to walk through my specific devices and gear and everything that I have set up in the space. Okay. You ready? All right. I'm going to start with my workstation. So my main workstation here is an L-shaped desk. So L-shaped desk, and it's actually a sit stand, so I can actually stand this up, and that's been really good for making sure that I'm not sitting too much. You know, when you get to be a certain age, you don't want to do that. I do have a couple of things that I'll point out here. So one is my globe lantern. This lantern, I really love it. I actually replaced the globe with a more of a hexagonal cover, which gives me the right coverage for what I need. It is a Small Rig brand. So you can see right there, Small Rig, and it's the RC2 or RC120B. So this stands up in the corner. Usually I'll move it around a little bit just to give me the coverage that I need. Since we last talked and did a studio review, I've gotten this ultra wide monitor right here, which I really love because I can actually split this into either quadrants or halves. And additionally, I have a teleprompter. This is an Elgato prompter. And this is something I can actually mount my phone on if I want to do just a quick Substack video or something like that. So it's in a good angle. I have a lot of little connectors like this that are super useful for connecting my iPad or my phone whenever I'm in the mood. Additionally, I have another monitor down here that mirrors the prompter so that anytime I'm using the prompter, whatever's on here ends up being here. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. I'll pull some words up, and the reason for that is because I definitely need a little bit more in terms of like visually. I need to make sure that I have something that is that I can see, words that I can see. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I were to show whatever shows up here, it also shows up on this bigger monitor down here. It's not super big and it wasn't super expensive, but I like having that monitor. There's a little trackpad. There's my Stream Deck, but first let me finish up on the monitor. So I've got this one, the ultra wide. I've got the prompter, which can be used as a monitor. I've got the mirrored monitor, which is really only used to monitor or to mirror what's on the Elgato. And then I have another smaller version, and I got a 24-inch curved, you can kind of see that it's curved monitor here, because those are super expensive, one, but also because it was the right size. I just needed a 24-inch. I didn't need a 27-inch. Additionally, I have another light right here that is I think it's a newer brand of a key light, which I don't necessarily love this one simply because the temperature doesn't come down lower than what you see right here. But these are my monitors. So you see the ones that I have in play. And honestly, I think this is sufficient for what I'm using the space for. I do have an Amazon, I think these are called Echoes. I have this because this actually controls my entire system. I can tell it to turn studio off and turn studio on, and it turns on all my lights or turns them off according to what I need. Additionally, I have a Rodecaster Pro 2 right here, which basically is my sound central. I've got right here a Shure brand microphone. This is a Shure MV7X that's connected to the back end of my Rodecaster Pro 2. And so just whenever I'm going to go live, I'll pull that into my space so I'm ready to go. Let's see, on the desk, I've got a Mac Ally keyboard because I just like these better. I do have my backup keyboard, which is the Apple keyboard over here, but they're just so flimsy and so thin, I don't love it. The main reason why I even keep this here, if I have it on the desk, is just for purposes of using the touch screen to open and close, or to open, password protected stuff. And then I have another mount here for my phone whenever I just want to use my phone. I just keep this here pretty much all day. I do have a couple of speakers simply because I like them and they give me a little additional boost of sound when I'm listening to music or listening to a video. This is my Mac Mini M4. I have it on top of a fan because these tend to get pretty hot, or at least mine does. And that is something that I definitely want to avoid, is it overheating. So I keep this fan on low. You can barely even hear it, especially during my live streams when it's working really hard. And finally on the desk is the Stream Deck, which I can have this on when I'm actually doing my Ecamm live streams so that you'll be able to press shortcut buttons, right, for different scenes. And then I just have little totems around my space. Little things that remind me of how powerful we as women are, how powerful I am, little reminders. There's my Boss Lady sign. This sign was given to me by a friend, a dear friend, Shantae Hawkins, another coach, a business coach who passed away last year. I really miss her. So having this in my space is just a reminder of who she is, who she was, and just some of the conversations that we had about making sure that we always show up for ourselves and for other people who are in our care. Additionally, I have a couple of other things that I just like to keep around. So you'll see the Ecamm Fam gold mug right there. Some more Wonder Woman totems, a few more Wonder Woman totems. and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is my main space. This is my main workspace. This is actually a little Wonder Woman with movable parts. It's a collector's item. Well, not quite a collector's item anymore, but at the time that I purchased her, she was. And I think that's it as far as the main center. Now, I do have a foot pedal as well that was gifted to me by the amazing James Hicks. So I don't have that plugged up at this time because I am using the Stream Deck a little bit more. But down here on the bottom, you will see that I do have some additional lights. I don't have that one on right now. But I do have some other Hue lights, H-U-E, to help with the ambiance because these just light up the back end of my space. Okay, now I'm going to just walk you quickly through some of the other spaces that I have here. I mentioned I did something on this particular tripod the other day when I was doing an Amazon live stream. So I talked about that. That allows me to get some B-roll footage whenever I need it. And I can take this with me. It's very portable and it will reduce down to the size of about an umbrella. Over here is another sitting space that I can use for doing videos. Over here, I've got more lighting just because I love, having branded lighting throughout my space. Over here, I have a chair, another space where I can actually do a video, and I have done so. And then just more representation of, the reminders to keep me focused on what's good. I have a couple of extra tripods that are over here. There's one that's reduced on the floor, but then there's a bigger one of my older ones that I keep just in case. This is actually a portable collapsible green screen. So let me try to demo this a little bit for you if I can. This is another version of a cover that can go onto my small rig light. And so you'll see. All I've got to do is just loosen this up, remove this out of the way. And the way this works is you just simply lift it up. Now, because I have my TV in the way, I did make this TV, when they mounted it, I wanted one that I could actually move flatter. So I do have the capability of actually moving that flatter. I'm not going to do it right now. But that allows me to pull this green screen all the way up in case I want to do any type of footage with green screen. So I'll just collapse this down. And I just really keep this over here for when I do need to do any type of green screen. Or I will move this behind my chair over in the main area, my workstation area. And I will record there with the green screen if I choose to do that. Let's put a few of these things back real quick here. Okay. All right. One last space that I'll show you is just if I am doing any type of product reviews, then I have the ability to be able to use yet another key light that's very similar. So Alexa, turn on key light 2. All right. And so that allows me to do product reviews if I wanted to use this desk space for that. I do have an older Windows computer that I used to use a long time ago. It's still handy. It still works, but I mostly use my Mac nowadays. And yeah, this is just another space, especially because it's a white desk. It gives me another space to be able to actually create video. And that's the majority of the space that I wanted to share with you. But I will share with you one other thing, one last thing. And that is this system right here. This is a backup battery. So I have a lot of my wiring. I actually had an electrician come in and make sure that I was safe, that I was doing everything safely as far as the wires, because my husband was like, hey, there's a lot going on there. Wipe off some of this dust. But basically it is a backup battery so that if we have storms, the most important things that I need up, like my Mac Mini, are going to stay working, or they'll shut down safely after, once I'm ready, instead of just instantly because of the storm. I I said one more thing, but I will show you that under here, if you can see it, I do have a CalDigit TS4 hub that is under a little, it's just a little rack that's attached to the underside of my desk to move things out of the way. I thought about putting the Mac Mini under here, but I'm just going to leave the CalDigit there for now. And then I have a capture card that you can barely see, but there's a capture card as well right here that I use for my DSLR camera. So you can see the DSLR camera is my Sony a6400 right here, and that's what's connected to the capture card. Additionally, I have this older C922 Logitech cam that I have in case I'm doing a quick video using just this, like if I'm doing a screen share video. Don't pay attention to the dust, because yeah, I do need a dust, but yeah, in case I need to do some video just using this particular monitor, then I will use this cam. And one last one is the Tiny 2, which I didn't show you earlier, but I have a Tiny 2 for my ultra wide. So if I need to do a video using the ultra wide monitor, and if I'm just using, like Zoom for a regular meeting, then I'll have this particular Tiny 2 be my main webcam. So I often use this as well for different meetings and things that I have. Just a little desk or a monitor top light that I can add when I'm working, and another smaller version of a light if I don't want to use my big giant big boy right here. But yeah, that is the studio. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an understanding of how things work, and I will we'll go back to me actually doing the review, and I can talk a little bit about the way that things looked prior to me putting all these things together. I have added little devices and pieces of gear and things that I love around the space. Like I had my husband install this light for me that is a hair light, so I can push this over whenever I'm getting ready to go live, and that just gives me a little bit of extra lighting. So I'll be seated here, of course, in my chair, and that extra lighting just gives me a little bit more depth of field. But that is the majority of, this is my set. Like, this is my setup right now. And I do love it. And I do continue to add to it and remove some things too now and then and replace some things. But I do, I have a space that I'm able to really do a lot with. And so that's it. Let me unmute myself. Hey, okay. So, yes. And all of these things, to your point, Dave said it's a lot of smaller pieces put together one at a time. How long did it take to get the last item? So, look, I'm constantly looking at my space all the time and thinking about how can I improve it? Is there something that will make life easier and make things more convenient? But the number one question for me is always, is this something that's going to improve the quality of my videos? Right. What I didn't point out, I should have pointed this out. Maybe I said it, but I have a Sony a6400. That is my go-to DSLR cam that I'm not using tonight. Right now, I'm using the Tiny 2 that you saw, which is sufficient, right? And it's only because I'm at a different angle since I'm using Restream. If I were using Ecamm, I would definitely be using the teleprompter monitor and the DSLR cam behind it. But what I'm looking for is how can I improve the space? And then when I'm doing like reels or short clips and I want something that's has a little different background, I might move to another area of the room. Or I might go outside and do something different. Or I might go to a restaurant and be at a coffee shop, right? So I'm learning to find other ways to show up. But in every situation, I want to be seen as the professional, right? As the professional and doing what I do. And so thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Yeah, it has taken me time. I think the last item that I acquired in the collection that you asked about, the latest thing probably, what is the latest thing? It's probably the hair light that I have at the top because my husband was home. He's overseas quite often for work. And so when he's home, I have a honey-do list. And my last honey-do list was, I need you to install this hair light for me because I didn't want to mess it up and put too many holes in the wall. So I think that probably was the last thing. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lou. Yeah, I've just over time, I have found things. Oh, thank you, Quilts and Chocolates. I've found things that I feel like are little improvements. So to give you an example, actually, this is the latest thing I bought. The latest thing was one of my monitors ended up dying on me because I'd had it forever. And so I did end up having to buy the smaller, the 24-inch curved monitor that I have on the side. I bought that to replace it. I love at least having two monitors, and here's why. Whenever you're doing classes or teaching or anything like that, it's so nice to be able to have one dedicated monitor that is what you're showing on screen to people. It just made life so much easier because I remember having to try to juggle with one monitor and showing people certain things and being like, oh, I didn't mean to show you that. Right? So having the two monitors initially was a big deal for me. I bought the teleprompter, I think it was maybe over the holidays last year because I really didn't care about teleprompters, but I have learned to see the beauty in having a prompter, especially when you're recording for like a sales video or something that you really want to make sure that you're totally accurate with the words that you're using and saying. So that has become one of my favorites. Juanita, yeah. I mean, it's definitely evolved. I have evolved. I love that we get to grow up when we do media like this. We get to go back and see clearly where we were, where we started, and see how far we've come. And that has been a blessing in itself, too. Because sometimes don't you find yourself kind of second guessing where you are and thinking, I'm not far enough. I haven't done enough. I'm not enough. You start thinking like that. And then when you go back, if you sit down and you write in a gratitude journal or in some way, shape, or form, you're documenting where you came from, it's always such a revelation for you to see, wait a minute, I'm way better. I'm in such a different position than I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a year ago, right? I've grown and I've done better and I've improved. And so being able to see that evolution for yourself is affirming. It's life affirming. And so I definitely had fun creating this video for you. You are absolutely more than enough, Lou. Each and every one of you, you are enough, you have enough, and wherever you are in your studio journey right now, that moment is where you're meant to be right now, wherever you are. And so you get to build on that and you get to grow and to mature into that, especially if you're really serious about doing video and you choose to be in that space, you get to choose how you grow, what's the pace and the speed of that, and not go overboard. Now, I did go overboard. So I promised I was going to share a few tips about mistakes that were made. As I was building out this whole space for myself, a couple of things. One, I over purchased. I purchased way too many microphones before I found one that I absolutely love. But honestly, they helped me to learn what I liked and what I didn't like. I've had the Blue Snowball. I've had the Blue Yeti. I've got like a whole army of different types of microphones that I tried out before I found the system that I really thought worked for me. What you can do, and my friend India Delgado taught me this, is if you do find yourself in that situation where it's too late for you to return items that you purchase, you can use sites like Swappa, SWAPPA, to go and sell your old and used devices. So I've gotten smarter about doing that if I have something I'm going to be purchasing and I'm replacing an item, how can I potentially sell that item right? And that money will go towards the new thing. So really thinking about those type of, she said, I'm video adulting. I know, right? Me too. Um, One of the things that you need to think about is what is my budget? Because you can easily get gear acquisition syndrome, otherwise known as gas. That's what they say in the ECAM community. You can easily get that because you're seeing what other people have and you're thinking, oh, I've got to have that right now. And you may not yet even be in the season of where you really need that thing. So think about that. Definitely plan to leverage holidays, leverage the discount seasons when Best Buy, when BH Photo Video, when CalDigit, when all these different sites have Rode, right? When they have sales, when Shure has sales, look for those during the holidays or around different holidays and make sure that you are paying what you need to pay, not over and above that. Ask questions, become a part of different video communities. The community that I absolutely love, of course, is Ecamm. Some of you might be using StreamYard. Some of you may be using Restream and other spaces. OneStream Live has a very active blog. I have access to their system, their platform, but I'm not really a part of their community per se. But if you're using the platform, go and find out where the communities where people are actually giving advice freely and helping you to really decide what's the best gear for you where you are in the moment. Okay. Yeah, think about that and plan ahead. But I'm so glad that you all liked it and that you thought it was fun. so thanks for hanging out with me. And Dave asked, is that David Hunt, the piano player? David Hunt, I'll let you answer. But I think that David Hunt does that and more. He is a musician for sure. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and for checking out the tour. If you have questions, I'm watching for those to see if anybody has questions on anything, but I really just kind of wanted to do an update for you. A few of the things that I've added since last year. You're welcome, Lou. What I've added since last year is probably different lighting, a few things that were different in terms of lighting. I added the prompter, the bigger, the middle prompter that, or monitor that mirrors the prompter was a big deal because my eyes are not like they used to be. And so trying to look at the tiny, tiny writing and other things on my prompter don't always go as well. So at least now I can kind of refer back to the bigger monitor that mirrors it. So you're able with the Mac Mini 4 to have at least at most three displays. But if you get the Elgato prompter, it can act as a fourth display. So if you're using a Mac system and you have a Mac Mini 4, know that you have quite a few portals to be able to connect more display monitors. And that was a big deal for me. I upgraded from an iMac, which I think is what I had the last time I did this video. So, yeah. You're very welcome. The resale reshare site. So one of them is called Swappa, SWAPPA. I cannot off the top of my head think of the other ones, but there are more as well. So Quilts and Chocolates, if you need more of those, but that's one of them. And you can absolutely resell some devices, not everything, but there's some. Do you ever have guests in your studio? Seems like you have room for that. So it's funny that you asked that, Dave, because I did anticipate, and initially I had two chairs instead of the sofa that you saw there. I did anticipate potentially having people at my home. Being who I am, being the introvert that I am, it's very rare that because everybody in my family is an introvert, everybody. So we are very protective of our personal space. And I have yet to invite someone to my home studio, but I might. If a friend is here in Dallas, because I know there's a couple of big Dallas events coming up. Podcast Movement is coming here. AI Marketing World is coming here. I believe High Level even has an event sometime this fall. So a lot of people are coming to the Dallas area. I could see myself potentially having people here. But what I absolutely do love is the pop-ups of these different podcast studios. So if here's another option for you. If you don't have the room or the space to create your own studio in your home or office, you can always rent out a space because many of the, especially metropolitan areas, it depends on where you are. You have to look these up, but there are podcast studios popping up. A good resource to find if there's one near you is peerspace.com. PEERSPACE, peerspace.com. Go on Peerspace and see, just type in podcast, and you'll probably have different little podcast studios in your area. And you can rent the space out for like 65 to $100 an hour. And that way you and your guest or guests can actually go live and have your cameras and everything set up. And it's usually going to be a really beautiful, versatile background, depending on how the studio has set itself up. And that's an easy way for you to be able to do a great looking professional video with a studio, and then just go back home and not worry about it. Like they're taking care of everything, all the devices and gear. So a thought, that's an idea. I'm moving over to Mac from a PC. Oh, don't say that too loud in my space because I've got a war going on between the Mac and the PC people in Stream Bosses Academy. So some of them are probably in here just like grunting right now. But I will tell you, Juanita, the reason why I moved to Mac specifically was because I wanted to leverage Ecamm. I was seeing what people were doing. If you watch any of my other videos on Thursdays, I'm using Ecamm most of the time. Ecamm gave me so much ability to have creative expression all day, every day. And I think that, no, I know for a fact that Ecamm is not available on a PC. It's only available on a Mac. And I kept seeing this and I had FOMO. And so I ended up saying, you know what? I've been a Windows PC girl for years. I'm switching. And I switched to the entire Mac system. So iPhone, you name it, everything. And it honestly has been, even though I sometimes miss my Android phone, I'm going to be honest, what I love about the system is the ability to be able to move media quickly between those different devices. I have a MacBook Pro that I carry. That's my portable device whenever I'm traveling. I've got this Mac Mini. I have had the iMac. I have an iPhone, like just about everything. Look, Michelle, she said shock. I know. I know. It's funny. Awesome. You're just up the highway. What seems a day? Oh, from Houston. Yeah. Houston is like, what, 5 hours away, I think. If you end up coming this way, holler. We might have to make a college visit down there for my youngest daughter sometime this summer. So I will make sure I remember that. Great name for a podcast, The Introverts. I know. I think some people have that. I think I've seen that somewhere. But yeah, I have both phones, iPhone and Android. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people have both, right? Because Android phone is still amazing for when it comes to photos. I loved my Android phone for that. I really did. The thing I like about the iPhone is pretty much just the system itself. Being able to airdrop media between different devices has been super efficient for me. And I'm all about efficiency and practicality. So that just works out really nicely. But I'm not telling you you have to go get a Mac. If you do choose to get one, it's not as complex as they make it sound to learn how to use it. It was actually pretty easy for me to learn how to use the system. I got used to it probably within a couple of days. Now, if you are using a Windows PC and you're looking for a streaming platform that's similar to Ecamm, EVMux is one that people use. EV, E as in egg, V as in Victor, M as in Mary, UX. EVMux is one. Another one that people use is, I just lost it. vMix, V as in Victor, Mix. So those are two other options for you. OBS is definitely useful for any type of device. It's a free broadcasting software. Restream, which is what I'm using tonight, StreamYard. There's all kinds of different streaming platforms that you're able to use. It's just that Ecamm Live is specifically for Mac computers. So just to know that, okay? All right. I've been scanning, trying to see if there's any other questions or comments, and I don't see anything. I think we're winding down. So since we're at the top of the hour, I'm going to head on over to Substack, which is what I promised to go and kind of play. And Dave, if you're learning Riverside, that I'm actually a brand ambassador with Riverside. And so I've partnered with them on a couple of projects over the last 6 months or so. And I absolutely think that could be a good option as well. They've added a lot of features because initially I was kind of like it's not great. But over time, they convinced me to come over to the side of the Riverside. And I do use it. I've done some videos on it. So definitely check out my channel. I think Ecamm is amazing too. It's still the top of the line for me. It's the one that I want to use. Juanita said it's very easy to use. I love the video and music editing options on a Mac. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it just works. Yeah, it works. I'm working on my laptop, but using the mouse also on the iPad that's next to me. I know. So the system itself just works really seamlessly. And that's the reason why I do love the Apple products. There are other reasons I love Apple, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. Okay, let's see. They're doing stuff. Small Rig is absolutely one of my favorite brands for a lot of things. So you saw that my Small Rig Light is one of the things I use, but also their accessories. So if you're looking for tripods or stands and things like that, they absolutely do have some excellent options for you. Small Rig is a great brand. Shure is a great brand. Rode is a great brand. There are lots and lots of different things out there or devices out there that are under some of the bigger brands. You saw that I had the Neewer light, Neewer. That was from Amazon. And while I liked it, I didn't love it, but you get what you pay for. When I invested in a more expensive light, I had more options because the temperature would go where I wanted it to go. I could dim it further. There were just more options because I paid more. So you do need to know that, okay? And sometimes I'm going to say what my friend Doc Rock says, my brother Doc, he will tell you, you might as well go ahead and upgrade and pay one time for something that's going to last than paying for these like really cheapy type of devices that you end up having to replace 2 and 3 times over. So in some instances, that definitely is important. He also stresses the importance of having the right cables. So if you ever do find yourself purchasing a device and you find that it's not working well for you with your stream, you're seeing things grainy, stuff is going in and out, one of the things you might want to check is to make sure you have the proper cables. And he's great on talking you through all of that. So I highly recommend checking out Doc Rock on YouTube. I know his ears are burning, but he's got some knowledge for sure in that space. All right. Okay, folks. Well, I'm going to jump over to Substack. So let me share this. If you do want to get on, I love this. Buy it right or buy it twice. Yep, exactly. That is his signature saying. I'm going to jump over onto Substack and do this live stream real quick. I'm only going to be there for maybe like 15 minutes, but I'm going to share with you my Substack space so that you have that. If you do want to come over, I'm just experimenting. I've been there. I said I was going to be out there for 90 days and see if I enjoyed the space. It's a great way to experiment and see because they're doing more video. They're really emphasizing video, whereas previously it was primarily a writing space or platform. You still are writing. I still think there's value in articles and text, but you have options to be able to add. Now they've added live streaming recently, which is what I'm getting ready to do. You can only do it right now from your mobile device, so from your phone, but it works. And it's been great. It's been excellent for a lot of people who are independents and who have not necessarily attached themselves to a specific platform. if you're trying to grow in a new space and to experiment and see, I think that it's a very positive environment so far. I feel like there's room to grow and not a lot of people are there just yet doing video. So if that's something that you're intrigued by, definitely come and check it out with me. I'll be over there in a couple of minutes and I will hang on for about 15 minutes. Yes. Dave said, not cheaping out. Exactly. My husband's that way too. He's like, let's just go ahead and splurge on the nice furniture so we don't have to worry about it breaking down. Like he's big on quality. Oh, why did I mention Doc? I know. But he's a good voice to hear, especially when you're looking at video gear and design. And another person that's a great resource for you when it comes to studio design is Junaid Ahmed. So Junaid Ahmed, wonderful. He's written a book on studio design. He goes and he actually does designs for people. Live streaming pros, Luria Petrucci is also a resource for you for studio design. So there are lots and lots of options. If you ever need an option or need a resource, just DM me. Just send me a note wherever you are, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Substack. Okay, folks, that's it. I'm heading on over there and I will see you. If you're not there, I'll see you not next week because we're going to take a break. I'm going to be attending an event, but the week after, I'll be in touch. And if you are not already on my mailing list, definitely connect. Let me find that real quick and I'll pop that in here just in case any of you need it. Be on my mailing list because I'm actually tomorrow revealing a brand new course called Livestream Multiplier Method. And it's going to go live middle March. We're going to actually host a 3-day course. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. But the gist of it is going to be on repurposing. So taking a live stream and repurposing that thing into multiple forms of content. And I have the system for you to do it. So I'm more than happy to share my system with you. And because it's our first launch, every time we do a first launch course, it's always going to be at the best possible rate you can get it. So I highly advise you to follow. You can actually follow us over at streamlikeaboss.tv. Make sure you're on the mailing list because tomorrow I'm sending out information about the course. Okay? All right. That's it. I'll see you over on Substack or we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care, y'all.